Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our pod.
Welcome back. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
I can't even really honestly tell you when was the last time we recorded.
Workaholics.
Was that before the cruise I went on in May?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
It's been a while.
It has been a minute. We took a break, and we are back. Thank you for your patience. Thank you to all of our new followers on social media. We really appreciate it. We're very excited. We've been gone for a little bit. It's been a very hectic, 2 months-ish or something like that.
Yeah, big news.
Yep, big life update. I am no longer a worker of the restaurant industry.
Correct.
I've gotten a new job, and that is what has been kind of taking up a lot of my not free time, but a lot of my time adjusting to it. It works perfectly with today's episode because I am now working as a medical assistant. I have nights and weekends off, and it's been, for lack of a better word, it's been amazing.
I know. And that, I will say, has been kind of a weird, obviously happy adjustment because a lot of times you were working at night and I was home at night, and I was working during the day and you were home during the day. So a lot of times our scheduling never really ever meshed, and it was not difficult to record because we could record if I had a break or something, or we recorded when you got home. But now that we're on the same work schedule, it's been kind of different because, I'll try to make dinner when you get home, and then you want to decompress and shower. And then all of a sudden it's 8:30, 9 o'clock, and you work early.
Yeah.
So you really need to be in bed by 9 because you're up at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So it has been an adjustment for the past month in the sense of just you changing your schedule completely. But also we just had some things just life. You were dog sitting. I went on a trip with a friend. Craziness.
I got all these weekends free, and it seems like every weekend we have something something going on. So that's been the big thing. But now I have adjusted to my new job. I'm kind of gotten into a groove. So we took our little break, and we are back, and we are recording this. I mean, once again, under the gun, but who cares? That's how we do it. We haven't formally discussed it, but possibly having a new upload day, just because. I mean, just to make it a little easier, because I will be off on the weekend, so it would be easier for us to upload on a Monday or a Tuesday rather than on a Friday, because I'm working all day I'm not all day, but I'm working during the day on Friday, so it would be easier to just kind of, maybe upload on a Sunday night or something like that. We haven't formally discussed that yet, but we will give you any update that we have. But for now, we are jumping into July's, I had to think about what month it was, July's theme, which we had this idea a long time ago for this theme, and we've been trying to incorporate it just because we come up with theme ideas, and we're like, well, we have this great idea for a theme, and it's like, well, you have to wait 8 months because we're lined up for themes until the end of the year. But we finally got a chance to do this. So usually there are, when it's summertime, it's long days. Here it doesn't get dark until 9 p.m. or something like that. And we decided to flip that, and we are doing shows that, not short-lived shows, because we've done that before, but shows that take place, the series takes place over a short period of time. Yeah. So we really liked the short-lived shows, but we were like, we need to find a way to elaborate on that a little bit more,
or diversify from
it.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many one-season shows out there? There are so many. So
we could go back and do that.
It's
again,
not like
we're
exactly. It's not like we're a lag. But this subgenre is very specific. I don't even know if you could call it a subgenre, because I don't know. It was easy but difficult at the same time to find shows for this month, because there are so many good ones, but they are few and far between. When you look up, try and Google it, TV shows that take place over a short period of time, you're going to find 10 maybe
some are
10
pretty
shows.
similar in like
Right.
the show itself. So it was hard to find different genres of TV show of this subgenre.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a subgenre.
Sub.
Yeah, so today we are doing a show that has been sweeping the nation. It really has kind of brought back in my opinion, it really has kind of brought back the week by week type format, which we have grown completely unaccustomed to. I mean, we're so used to 8 to 10 episodes being dropped in one day and watching them all in 2 days. Hello, Running Point. We did that. And we watched that show maybe 3 days. Worth it. That show's fantastic. Can't wait for season 3. But we decided to do The Pitt, which takes place so far they have 2 seasons, and each season takes place over the course of 15 hours.
Yeah.
Technically a shift, but it ends up carrying over. And I'm wearing my scrubs.
Yep,
and
you look sexy.
Oh, wow, thank you. And yeah, so we are doing The Pitt, and a show that, I mean, it has been nominated for how many Emmy awards? So many awards, and it has kind of revived a few careers. Let's talk Catherine Lanassa mostly.
Baby Jane Doe.
And and it has also skyrocketed a couple of careers that people who were, stage actors or, mainly
Broadway, yeah.
kind of, they were kind of on the cusp of breakthrough, having their breakthrough role, and this was it. So we are just going to get right into it, and Anna's going to do what she always does and give us some episode and series information.
All right. The Pitt, 7 a.m. The Pitt is an American medical drama that premiered on HBO Max on January 8th, 2026. The series currently has 2 seasons and 30 episodes. Season 3 is currently in production. The series was created by R. Scott Gemmell, who previously served as a writer and showrunner for NCIS Los Angeles. The Pitt centers around the staff at the Pittsburgh Medical Trauma Center's Emergency Room. The series is unique in that each season takes place over the course of 15 hours. The main cast of season 1 includes Noah Wyle as Dr. Michael Rabinovich, or Dr. Robbie, who also reigned as Bacchus this year during Mardi Gras. Yep.
Nice.
And his wife also accompanied him. It was a big deal because he's so popular right now. He is the brilliant chief of emergency medicine with a huge chip on his shoulder. I'm going to probably get this one wrong. Tracy Ifficher. A feature. Okay. I know you have the pronunciation, but that doesn't look like that. But anyway, cut that. As Dr. Heather Collins, a resilient senior resident. Patrick Ball as Dr. Frank Langdon, a sarcastic senior resident who is considered to be Dr. Robbie's protege. Catherine Lanassa as Nurse Dana Evans, the department's no-nonsense charge nurse who is truly the backbone of the ER. Supriya Ganesh as Dr. Samira Mohan, an empathetic and meticulous senior resident. Fiona Dourif as Dr. Cassie McKay, a grounded but impulsive resident with a mysterious past. Taylor Dearden as Dr. Melissa King, a socially awkward but highly compassionate, newly hired second-year resident. Issa Briones as Dr. Trinity Santos, a brash but highly skilled intern. Garen Howell as Dennis Whitaker, a sensitive and somewhat timid fourth-year medical student. And Shabana Aziz as Victoria Javdi, a sheltered third-year medical student who struggles fitting in due to her being 20 years old. Sean Hatosi serves as a recurring character, Dr. Jack Abbott, a tough and level-headed attending who works the night shift. The Pitt became an immediate hit with audiences and was well received by critics. The show was praised for being the most accurate medical TV show in TV history, with medical professionals serving as consulting producers. And they also received serious medical sort of onboarding. All the actors, that is. The first season received 13 Emmy nominations, winning 5 of them, including Outstanding Drama Series, and Noah Wyle won Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series. And then he also won, I think, this year, like the quad. Like, I think he won like the Emmy, the Golden Globe,
really?
like the BAFTA for TV, and like the SAG award. Yeah. And Catherine Lanassa won Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series. Sean Hatosi won Outstanding Guest Actor in a Drama Series and Outstanding Casting for a Drama Series. You can currently watch both seasons on HBO Max.
The show is so great.
It is. I mean, it's really good, and it just brings you in really fast. I mean, I'm not saying it's fast-paced. It is a little bit at times, but I mean, he just walked into the ER, into the reception, into the back, and you were just bam, bam, bam. Here's this. Here's who. This is happening. So it was really good.
And I mean, 15 episodes a season. When was the last time we had a show that lasted longer than 10 episodes? I mean, seriously, you know, I got so used to that format of 8 to 10 episodes per season of a show, and then having it in 2 or 3 days, and it just taking a year and a half for it to come out. I've truly missed, and we're experiencing that with Cape Fear right now because we're about to catch up, and then that's going to be week by week. And then we did the same with Widow's Bay, which I really appreciate these shows, these original series, kind of spacing it out and making us wait week to week and not giving us previews for the next episode.
Yes.
That's been killing both of us.
I know, me especially.
But I've really appreciated, I'm not going to say the Pitt brought it back, but like it really feels like the Pitt really was like, no, we're going to do a full, I mean, 15 episodes still isn't what we used to have back in the day of 22, 24, 28, 30 episodes.
30 episodes, yeah.
Melrose Place, hello. And just having this, what feels like a full season, nearly 4 months of watching a show week to week. It's been truly like, it's been great having that kind of back in our lives, and then it being kind of being like reintegrated into TV, because streaming has officially taken over. I mean, it's been taken over. It's not like this is a new thing, but we just got so used to the all episodes at once, and it's been really nice to watch shows that are week to week and making us look forward to Sunday night or Wednesday night, because we're like, oh, we have this show, and this show. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going on, but we're going to sit down and watch it. And I think that's been really exciting, and I feel like the Pitt kind of maybe was at the forefront of that.
And with my boo now working during the day, we do have nights to watch things together and not having to also sort of crunch them in on your 2 days off. I'll be honest, because a lot of times, I mean, I can't watch TV, not all the time during the day, and you're tired when you got home at night. But also, what I like about it is not only does it like give us the reprieve of like, okay, now I have to wait and get excited about the episode, but it does also allow us to maybe binge a show that has all come out, you know, and so we can kind of intermix them, where I feel like sometimes we found all these shows that have had all the episodes released, and we would try to watch them, and we would just get backlog, because then we would have to do the pod and watch new stuff. So this now kind of gives us a pace of being able to keep up and watch a show.
It's very exciting. And one of the most exciting things of when I realized I was going to be off nights and weekends, I get to watch every episode of Big Brother live, instead of having to watch it while during the Thursday night rush in the kitchen, having my phone on the prep table next to the grill and having the speaker loud enough to where I could be like, okay, who's getting voted out? Because Thursday is the live eviction. So that was always like I was always really frustrated because there was never really a night I got to watch it. I always had to watch, not reruns, but like I had to watch it later after it aired, and it was always just a pain in the ass. And
you would get spoilers, or people would tell you.
It didn't take long. I mean, and now I get to kind of watch it live, and I'm really excited about that. So it kind of goes without saying, we're doing the Pitt. We're doing the show. I am now working in healthcare, so I guess it's only natural that I talk about my journey to becoming a medical assistant.
Do it.
It's really not that exciting, but I mean, it was for me, and it was for you. But so we decided, I'm not going to say I decided, because we decided I was reaching a point to where, as much as I truly loved, and I truly loved working in a kitchen. I truly loved cooking. I truly loved it. What I did not love was coming home at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, being wired until 3 o'clock, and then sleeping half the day, and then waking up and having maybe like 2 hours to kill, and
back at work.
And where I was working at, I was working 6 shifts a week. I was working all day Sunday, 14-hour shifts on Sunday, open to close, so I could have 2 days off. And then those 2 days off, I was like recovering. I mean, it was like that Monday, we would always like be like, okay, let's plan to do this, 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 and this. And then I would wake up on Monday morning. I've been like, I can't move. I'm just like, I've been on my feet for, 6 shifts straight, particularly on Sunday, which would just the weekend period, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday would just kill me. And so we kind of sat down and we talked about the possibility of me looking for another career. And, that's not an easy thing to do in your early 40s. It's really hard to just kind of decide, especially when you've been doing the same thing your entire working life, essentially. I mean, I've done some other things here and there, but 95% of my work has been working in service industry, whether I've been a manager, a cook, a server, whatever. Like, I've just always worked that, and that's always been such a comfort zone for me, and it's always been such a security blanket. Because, I mean, we talked about this in the Bear episode so long ago, but we talked about this in the Bear episode where it was like I reached a point to where I could start at a restaurant, and like I needed like 2 days and I was fine. Like, I just needed 2 days to figure out the menu. This is how things work. And I'm like, cool, I got it. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. So it was really kind of hard for me to just be like, okay, we need to figure something out. And knowing that I did not have the time to go back to, say, like college and do like be a full-time student at like community college or at a university. I just did not have the time or the funds to do that. It was kind of looking into online schools, and healthcare really kind of became the center of our conversation. And working in healthcare is something that I've always wanted to do. I've gone to school for it a couple times, but they just didn't work out for whatever reason. And we went and just kind of did some research, and I was looking at either medical assistant or medical billing and coding. Those were kind of the two that I had kind of landed on. And really what it kind of came down to is that medical assistant was just more, I could do more with that.
It was more options, I think, right away.
Yeah.
Like, I think we looked at both, and we kind of weighed the pros and the cons, and, we talked to several people, and we were like, there were just a lot more opportunities, because you could also do like vet assistant, being a medical assistant. So there were, and then hospitals, urgent cares, clinic, like there were a lot more opportunities.
Right.
Yeah. For medical billing and coding. So
I decided to go back to school. I did online courses and classes. It was self-paced. It was, I kind of had a bad experience with online school before. This was pre-COVID, when I went back to BRCC and tried to do online courses, and I just didn't like it, just because I wasn't used to it, and I didn't really understand. Not that I didn't understand it, it was just, it wasn't self-paced. I think that was why. It was like I had to do these things by a certain time, and I didn't have anyone teaching me anything, and it wasn't something that I could just kind of figure out as I go.
Well, it's like the professors don't take into consideration that you're working full time during these like semester long, like on a schedule, versus a self-paced where we'll give a shout out to Penn Foster. Penn Foster, if you want to sponsor us, we're here for you.
Crazy.
Tag them in
I'm gonna.
But that was the thing when you were researching the potential schools. You looked at a few, but Penn Foster was great because I think they gave you like 18 months
pretty much
to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Although you did complete it in much less time, but also you didn't feel like it had to be done by December or whatever, and you were working full time, 6 shifts a week and nights and weekends, and you even gave yourself kind of like a semester break, and so yeah,
I gave myself some breaks, and it was I really liked the self-paced style. It gave me a lot of time to actually learn, and not just like, because I don't know what other people are doing on online courses, but there are plenty of online schools where you can just kind of sit in front of the computer and look answers up on your phone and just answer those questions. And there were times where I was really tempted to do that, but just because of time, and I just wanted to get it done, but I was just like, no, because if I go and start a job somewhere and they ask me questions, I'm not going to know the answers. And so it's just like, not that they expect me to know everything, but I really wanted to learn. And I got lucky because I went to school to be a surgical tech back a really long time ago, and I went to school to be an EMT pre-COVID. And so I did kind of have that like kind of knowledge. It was deep in there in the bowels of my brain, but it was there, and it became it got easier as time went. And if people are like wondering how I did medical assistant online, for the practical stuff, I had to do it on video. I had to have a professional proctor there. Shout out to Gina. Shout out to my mom, who's an RN. And
yes, she helped. She was very happy. I recorded.
I had to, learn how to do these things, and there were simulations online, and I had to, luckily there were some things that I knew, but there were other things that I had to kind of learn. And it wasn't just me watching a video and just learning it in an afternoon. Like those simulations that I had to do, those skill assessments, I was trying to find the word, those skill assessments that I had to do, like it took me a good 2 months to do those. And it was not easy. And there were times where I was very stressed out, and I was like, how am I going to do this? And I am very hard on myself, as I think a lot of people are, especially when you really want something and you really just want to complete something, and you really just kind of want to be like, I did it. We did not tell a lot of people that I was in school. My mom knew because she was gonna help us, and a couple of our friends knew, and that was it. Like those the only people. If anyone who works at George's, they're finding this out right now.
Yeah.
So I mean,
so when did you start?
I started in July of 2025, and I officially finished in March of 2026.
Yeah.
So about 8 months. Yeah. About 8 months, give or take, maybe a little over 8 months, and then honestly, that was almost like the easy part because then I had to take the certification, which is not an easy test.
2 parts, right? Or what? It was online, but then you also had to pass your skills part.
Right. No, I already talked about that. But well, I did my skills assessment. That was like a part of like that was part of like the program.
Gotcha.
The certification was like a whole. I had to complete the medical assistant program in order to take the certification.
Right.
So I was like done with all of the. I remember like I had got marked by my instructor about something, and then I kind of argued with it a little bit, not in a bad way. I was just like, no, this is the mistake that I made. I know I made this mistake, and this is what I should have done. And I was like, we were fully prepared. My mom was gonna come over
and come back.
She was going to come over. We were going to do it one more time. And this time I knew how to do it. And then I got the message back from my instructor, you have shown that you are competent in this. I'm going to pass you. So I was just like, it was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. And it was like it was this sense of accomplishment, because we've talked about this before. I didn't go to college. I mean, I did, but like I only went for like a couple semesters. I went back to school here and there, but I never really finished anything. I never really like accomplished anything. So kind of finishing this was a big deal to me. It was a big deal for me. It may not be a big deal to other people, like, oh, you did an 8-month online program, big deal. But for me, it was a big deal because I never really, other than high school, I had never really like completed a schooling thing before. Technically, I completed EMT school. I just didn't pass the certification.
You passed the
I passed the written certification.
I
didn't pass the practical. Yeah, the practical certification.
Yeah.
So
I do want to give a shout out to Penn Foster because, you know, I have been to traditional college several times. And, you know, I was nervous because I knew your history with online and you did not enjoy it initially. But we found this program and, well, you found it and we read it. We looked online reviews and made sure that you weren't going to just be giving your money to this like quack school. But I really wanted to give a shout out to Penn Foster because they really supported you. I feel like you got all your supplies. In fact, accidentally, I think you got shipped twice.
I got shipped twice, and we are supplied.
Yeah. They also not only as part of your tuition, they paid for your first certification test, which is like a couple $100.
It's
like traditional college doesn't pay for like your bar exam or your medical licensing or anything like that. And then the other thing was to prepare you for the medical certification. They gave you study guides that were all part of your certification. Anytime, like the time you just talked about when you knew you had kind of messed up and you wrote that you knew you had done it, like the little one part wrong, they were very quick to respond to you. And a lot of like those online courses and universities, they don't always have that kind of customer service. And I'll have to say, I was very impressed with how much they gave you in support and materials. And I mean, I'll be honest, the tuition wasn't crazy.
No,
and
it wasn't.
So I feel like if anyone's listening and considering a career change, I've told a couple of people about it. It's definitely something, you know, if you have a credit card, you could charge it. It's not going to be tens of thousands of dollars or even thousands of dollars, because that was another thing that we also really wanted to consider was I didn't want you to start a new job in a lot of debt.
Right.
And so, so we had paid this off by the time you had finished. And so that was important to both of us as well.
So I'd finished the program, and then it was time to take the certification, which is what I was truly nervous about because I know a lot of people can relate to this. I am not great at taking tests. I get very nervous. I get very in my head. I second guess myself. I've just never been a good test taker. I've been that way my entire life, and I was really worried that I was going to have to retake it or that I was going to have to, you know, I feel like if I had to retake it, I was going to feel very defeated because that's just how I am. And I'm a dramatic boy. What can I say? And so I remember I was house/dog sitting for my sister and my dad, and you were you out of town at that point?
I might have been.
Yeah, because you were out of town no, you weren't, because we went out to eat. We went out to eat when I passed.
Yes.
But I think you had Max here.
Yes, because you could. Yeah,
that's why you couldn't come over. That's why we couldn't really hang out because we were.
We had all three dogs.
We had all three Tooties, and I was at my sister's house, babysitting Nova and little Frankie, and I remember waking up. I remember going to take my test. I was so nervous, and I went and took it, and I knew I wasn't going to get the results until the next day, and I just so happened to have been working a morning shift because I was dog sitting. I switched a bunch of shifts. Shout out Wesley if you're listening to this. George's Wesley. I had switched a bunch of shifts so I could be off at night to take care of the dogs, and I was working that night, and when I tell you I was refreshing that results page every 30 minutes.
You took it around a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
And so you were worried that it was going to take extra days because of the holiday.
And I remember when I finally got the results, and I should have known that I passed because underneath it said certification PDF or something like that showing like my official certification, but I had to see it for myself, and I passed on my first try. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I'd ever been prouder of myself. Like I don't. And once again, I know some of y'all are listening and just being like, okay, like you're being dramatic about this, but like I don't think y'all understand how much I hate school, and I don't think
and how nervous you were because again,
I don't hate school, but like how I'm not good at school.
And again,
pretty much. Shout
out to Penn Foster. Yeah. Like another thing that they did was they gave you like 2 like practice exams that you could do to take to kind of see and get a feel of what it was going to be like. And you passed both of those, I think.
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, you did. But you were still like, I'm not taking that. Like, that's not, I still need to pass. And I was like, well, of course you need to pass the real one, but you should feel good because you know, you took it in real time as you were going to be taking it. So you were giving yourself a real simulation of what it was going to be like, but you were still really nervous. I remember you were like, you know, I don't think I can wait like 96 hours. Cause I think you might've taken it like on a Thursday or something.
No, I had taken it. It was like on a Monday or a Tuesday. And I was worried that because I don't know if it was on a holiday, but I just remember looking on, and of course I went on Reddit, and of course the only people who comment on Reddit are the people who had like the worst experience with it. Not everybody, but I mean pretty much there were people who were like, I got it that same day, and then there are other people who were like, I'm still waiting for my results, and I've been on the phone with
the testing
people, and because there are different types of medical assistant tests, different associations and accreditation. So I was taking a very specific one, and I think I got it in like 36 hours or like 24 hours,
like a day and a half.
Yeah, and it was like I had taken it Monday. Let's just say I took it like Tuesday morning, and then I didn't get it until Wednesday afternoon. I think that's what happened. I'm almost positive. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive. And I passed, and it wasn't that I like barely passed. I like kicked that test's ass, and I did like a really. I think it was like a 90% or something like that. Like I like really did. I didn't just because I was like, I don't care because you have to make it 80% or higher to pass, and I was like, I don't care if I make it 79.9%, and they rounded up to 80. Like I don't care if I just care if I pass or not. Because it's just like the people who take the bar exam or, you know, their GPA in college. It's like no one's really looking at that. They're just looking at the fact that you have a degree. And so I was just looking at the fact that I just had a certification. So I became certified, and then I became certified, and then we immediately went to Europe.
Yes, yeah.
Maybe like a week later we went to Europe. So it was kind of like, okay, well, I have to wait to start applying for jobs. And I became a little discouraged when I started applying for jobs because I was inexperienced. I had no real experience in healthcare, and because I took an online course, I thought all of that was going to work against me. And so there was a period where I was a little deflated, and I was a little kind of like, well, you know, maybe this is going to take longer to get a job than I thought. And I realized, well, and then I finally got a call. I finally got an interview. I had to do an interview over Zoom, and then I did what's called a shadow shift. And then I think like not even a week later, I got hired. And then I started working my job at the beginning of June. So I've been with my new job for almost a month. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think those early applications were just a big lesson for maybe any of the young generation that we were used to was the online. Like I'll admit, the job I have now, I applied with a paper resume and a paper application. And so you were applying for anything that was on Indeed. You were going to like hospital website, career links, urgent cares, clinic facilities, and you were putting it out there. Yeah. I mean, you know, and you had a friend also like help you with your resume to make it look a little bit more medical related. Yeah. And You would also take an additional certification, CPR again, and I think you took something else. I thought you took something else, but anyway,
it's BLS, it's CPR and first aid.
And then you were getting rejections via AI.
Yeah.
And that was something I don't think you were very used to.
No, not at all.
I think it was, and I could feel it for you. You were just like, I just got rejected by 3 jobs. Yeah. And I was like, you just got rejected 3 times by AI.
Right.
And that's what's hard to discern is it's not you, it's some sort of filter system.
Me. Yeah.
And, that it's
right.
just bouncing it back, And so that was hard until, you actually started talking to someone.
Yeah.
And that made all the difference. You being able to tell your story and
that hiring process went by really fast.
Yeah. And so, but it was also very impressive. I think that they could hear you talk about that you're a dedicated employee. You are reliable. You don't take sick time to take sick time. You've had a long career.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the medical industry looks for. I mean, we heard from our friends that, they're lucky to keep an employee for a year sometimes because they just have this, these employees just are like, oh, I'm bored or I want to make more money. And then they quit thinking, like a pot of gold is somewhere. So, I think the job application process was kind of new for both of us because I have not really applied for a job in almost 30 years. So, I think that was something new. Yeah.
So that's my story.
That's your story. And now you're a medical assistant.
Now I'm a medical assistant.
We had fun shopping for scrubs and new shoes and new medical stuff that you needed.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I think it was great. I've told several friends about it who've messaged me and you. And, I thought Penn Foster was great. It was great for you. A different teaching style that definitely worked really well.
But seriously, Penn Foster, you can sponsor us.
You can sponsor us.
Make
Please.
me graduate of the year.
Yes, summa cum laude. Yeah.
I had a good GPA. I
Yeah,
could have
you
been
did.
graduate of the year.
Yeah.
That would be really funny.
Hey, he goes
on the virtual
you
graduation.
go to their job statistics. You're employed within.
Yeah.
You were employed within 1 month or 2 of finishing the program.
2 months. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So all right.
Okay, so enough of that.
Enough of that. Do we want to talk about the episode or more stories?
So let's get into the episode, and then we can incorporate the stories into that. Because if you've never watched The Pitt, there's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to really go into depth of the first episode because it is kind of they do it in real time. It's just like the show 24, which we might be doing this month, where it is in real time. And there are so many things happening at the same time. There are so many things happening.
Moving parts,
people. So many continuous shots where you're kind of going from one room to the other. You're in triage, then you're in an exam room, then you're in
the break room.
Then you're in the break room, then you're in the ER, then you're at the nurse's station. So it's like there's so much going on. I looked. I went on the Pitt Wiki fandom page because that's usually a good source for like me kind of being able to summarize the plot summaries when I'm not kind of watching them. Because sometimes I can just kind of type a plot summary from memory. I like putting stuff in my own words because I'm the one reading it. So like it's really if I'm typing something, you can really tell sometimes when I've copy and pasted and when I'm actually using my own words. I learned my lesson, I think, when I did like a 5-page plot summary one time. I forgot what it was for, but I remember being like, I made a mistake. So we're just gonna have a short summary. It's only gonna be like a page and a half. But if you haven't watched The Pitt, I'm doing you a favor. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that because so much more goes on, but I feel like I'm going to give you a nice little summary of what happens. Okay, so let's just start it off with let's start off. Let's get it going. And let's get started. Cobwebs channel. All right. All right, the Pitt plot summary. In Pittsburgh, attending Dr. Michael Robbie Rabinovich starts a shift at the Pittsburgh Trauma Medical Center Hospital ER, nicknamed The Pitt.
The Pitt.
The day marks the 4th anniversary of the death of his mentor, Dr. Adamson, who that's Meshach Taylor, right? Is that his name? From Designing Women?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Meshach Taylor?
Is that his name? Okay. Sorry, that just popped in my head. I didn't realize that was him until we rewatched this episode. The head nurse, Dana Evans, asks if he's okay to work. Nurses ask him if rumors are true that the hospital will be sold and the ER will be eliminated. He talks to overnight attending Dr. Jack Abbott off the edge of the roof, joking about the horrors of the job. Robbie welcomes new trainees to the department. Dr. Melissa Mel King, a second-year resident who we love, played by Taylor Dearden, who is the daughter of Bryan Cranston.
Yep.
Another show we might be doing this month. Think about it. Intern, first-year resident, Trinity Santos, and medical students Victoria Javati and Dennis Whitaker. Robbie introduces them to charge nurse Dana and senior residents Heather Collins and Frank Langdon. The trainees observe as Dr. Cassie McKay and nurse Mateo Diaz begin to treat a woman with a burned hand and 2 children, who McKay suspects is unhoused. Dana encounters Collins, who has morning sickness and has had a previous miscarriage. Collins and Langdon treat a woman, Minu, with a broken and degloved foot. That was rough.
They show it.
If you thought the degloving scene in Gerald's Game was rough, this is probably 100 times worse. And that scene in Gerald's Game made me crawl, made me want to hide. It was so gross. So
yeah, this one was bad.
Yeah. Lost my place. All right, degloved foot and the man who saved her from falling onto the subway tracks. Surgeon Dr. Yolanda Garcia joins the response, but leaves when it turns out to not be surgical. Javati faints. Robbie is surprised to learn that Javati is the daughter of Surgeon Eileen Shamsi. Okay, so
because she's kind of famous,
right? She's like she's like
top
this
dog of the hospital.
So let's kind of get into. I don't really have any ER stories.
Okay.
I've only been to the ER a few times in my life. I think I maybe talked about when I got my finger cut off when I was really, really young, but I don't remember it. So I don't remember having to go to the ER. So do you have any ER stories?
Okay, you lie because we went the one time you thought you were
when I thought I was having a heart attack. I forgot about that.
I was like, babe.
I thought I talked about that on the pod, though.
You might have, but
okay. So
there's that story.
Yeah, it was when I realized I was out of shape and I had just pulled a muscle in my chest
because you had been vomiting from your vertigo, and we should have realized it because I also ended up in the ER when I had food poisoning, and I had pulled my chest muscles, but it was so tight and like spasmed. I thought I was having a heart attack. Your mom and my sister were like screaming at me to go to the ER.
I completely
so
forgot
we
about
both
that.
have gone thinking we were having heart attacks after like being sick.
Violently vomiting, yeah.
So I have a couple of ER stories myself.
Okay.
When I was in grad school in Monroe, I was a graduate assistant, and I was a grad assistant for like the spirit groups, like the cheerleaders, the basketball cheerleaders, and we were driving to a game, and on the way there, my eye started to itch, and it was just to Natchitoches, Louisiana, which is about 3.5 hours to Monroe, and during the game, it just like kept getting worse, and I was like rubbing it, and finally, like I really could not see out of one of my eyes. Like it was just that painful. And I told like my supervisor, I was like, I don't think I can drive. It is unsafe. It's dark. I mean, we are like in back roads of Louisiana. And so someone else, like one of the other cheerleaders, I think ended up driving. I don't know if that was legal or not. But we got back home. I got back to my townhouse, and the next morning I woke up and literally like my eyes were glued shut. It was like someone had poured Elmer's glue or paste into my eyes. I could not open them. I mean, it was like I was the Fly. And so my roommate saw me, and she was like freaking out. And so some of the stories in the pit about people not having insurance and stuff, because like I did not have insurance.
Right.
And so Monroe actually had a charity hospital in the city. And so we went there because it's free hospital care. And all I remember was the nurse was like, oh my God. And I was like, I know. I was like, I can't see. And so when I go to the back, the doctor's like, I need to get a sample because we need to send off whatever. Yeah. Like, I'm going to give you some shots or something to like take the swelling down. But I also need to get a sample so we can test it. He pulled my eyelid down and took like those like little sticks that have like the little extra piece at the end. He pulled it back, and obviously he couldn't like do anything to numb it, I guess. And he like took a scoop, and like I think it didn't so much hurt. It was just the shock that he was scooping stuff out of my eyes. I screamed. My roommate heard me in the waiting room and thought like I was dying or something. And she was just like asking the lady at the desk. She was like, "What's happening?" She was like, "Girl, I don't know." And so, and this was a very small, like local charity hospital, not like the New Orleans charity, which I'll talk about in a second. But it ended up being nothing. It was like a virus, something like. And I will always remember it was the night before the Super Bowl because my roommate and I were supposed to be hosting a Super Bowl party for all of our friends. And we were calling people that morning after we got back. And this was back in the day when like the Super Bowl was at like a decent time. And I say decent, like 3:00 in the afternoon or, whatnot. And I was like, I didn't know if this was like contagious or like pink eye. And I was like, I can't have people come over here and I'm infected and I don't want to be infecting people. And I think a couple of our friends ended up coming over to watch the game because we had a decent TV. And so that was really the first time I really remember ever being in an ER. And then soon after that, I was a teacher, lost my teaching job after a couple years. And my mom and my sister drove to come pack me up, move me back to New Orleans. So this was the summer, August of 1995. Literally like the day or two after we got back to New Orleans, my mom like came into my room, and my nephew was also with them because my sister was living at my mom's house for the summer. She just wanted to live there. And so, or maybe my nephew that was his month with his dad. Yeah. Patrick wasn't there, but, my mom came and knocked on my bedroom door. My sister was in the front room. I was in like what you knew as my mom's sewing room.
Gotcha.
Was my bedroom. My mom knocked on the door and was like, "Something's wrong with me." And I was like, "What's wrong?" And I'm trying to think of like in 1995, my mom was probably about 64-ish or so. And I took like for her a lot of things seriously because my mom is very much like me. I mean, again, I have to have ooze coming out of my eyeballs to think I'm really sick. And I was like, "Mom, do you want to go to the hospital? Like, what's wrong?" And she's like, "No, I don't want to bother you. I don't want us to drive and blah, blah, blah." Because mind you, I did not have a car still. So I did not have a car. I was like 26 years old, did not have a car. I would have had to have driven my mom's car. So I go to bed, and then my sister busts in my room at like 6 a.m. So that was at like 2 a.m. And I had offered to take my mom to the hospital. My sister comes in and is like, "Mom needs to go to the hospital." And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
I'm like, I asked her that like 3 hours ago. And so my mom did not have insurance because she was only about 64 at the time. And she didn't qualify for Medicare because she wasn't 65, and she couldn't get my dad's insurance because he had passed away. So again, we went to Charity Hospital in New Orleans. Let me tell you, that's a hospital ER you don't ever want to go to. It reminds me of the Pitt.
Yeah.
It is gunshot wounds, people fighting, again, elderly people, homeless. I mean, again, it's the place where you go when you just did not have money and you're thankful that these places exist. But you also, kind of like the Pitt, get put on a waiting list.
Yep.
I will tell you, two things helped us out. One, my mom had a massive fever. It was like 103 or something. And so for a senior citizen, that's pretty, or really anyone, that's pretty serious.
Yeah.
So when they took her temperature during that initial, like when you're checking in or whatever, triage, she got put to like the top of the list.
Nice.
Her age and her fever. And then also the attending was a childhood friend of my brother's. His name was Dr. Peter W., who was the attending during Hurricane Katrina 10 years later. And he was interviewed like on 60 Minutes and a lot of things. So when he saw us in the waiting room, he's like, come back now.
Nice.
And so it ended up that my mom had to have her gallbladder taken out. And so like the next day she had her gallbladder taken out. She stayed at Charity Hospital, I think 2 or 3 days. And it was really nice. It was really sad to see Charity Hospital go by the wayside after Hurricane Katrina. Supposedly some companies taking it over. They've been saying that for over 20 years. But then we also went back to Charity for my mom. She really hurt her leg really bad. And again, she was spiking a fever and she got put to the top of the list. So
Nice.
Even a gunshot wound doesn't get you to the top of the list, but 103, 104 degree fever will get you there. So that was
being potentially contagious.
Yeah.
We'll always kind of do it.
Yeah. So those were my main ER stories. And then the one when we were in Ocean Springs, and
that was crazy.
Yeah. I was really, I had food poisoning and I had been truly vomiting for about 8 hours. I finally fell asleep and woke up to feeling like a big stone was on my chest. Like I could barely breathe. And I really thought I was having a heart attack and I didn't know what to do. You called your mom or you texted your mom and she was like, go to the hospital. And then, so that was the other time I went to the ER, but otherwise, yeah, that's it. So yeah, you've been for that. And then when you were little, so those were sort of your stories.
Yeah. I don't really have any like elaborate ER stories because my most recent ER story is identical to yours. It was just I didn't get food poisoning. I had vertigo. So, and
it was, I mean, we live in a small town in the suburbs of Baton Rouge in our kind of little regional hospital here. It was very nice. You got in pretty quickly. I mean, there was no
way.
One there.
I was very lucky.
Yeah.
All right, back to the episode. While on rounds, the team meets Louis Cloverfield, our favorite. I know, a recurring patient with alcoholism who is prescribed lorazepam by Robbie and Librium by Langdon. Mel and Langdon receive a lethargic 4-year-old boy. The father realizes that the boy ate some of his wheat gummies.
Oh, yeah.
That was like, as soon as I think it was Langdon who was like kind of feeling around his mouth and pulled out a piece of a gummy, I was just like, I know exactly what just happened. Like that, yeah. Hospital administrator Gloria Underwood informs Robbie that the Pitt's patient satisfaction score is low. He argues that if the hospital was properly staffed, it would improve. Gloria threatens to fire him, which she always does. She sucks.
Yeah.
New elderly patients begin to arrive by ambulance, as they do every day at 7:30 a.m. when the nursing homes do morning bed checks, which is, I mean, super sad.
Oh, yeah.
But a harsh reality.
Kind of reality.
Yeah. After one woman is declared dead, Robbie gets his staff to take a moment of silence to honor their fallen patient. Other notable patients are introduced: Joseph Spencer, Doug Driscoll, and Mr. Milton. A vomiting middle-aged woman named Teresa Saunders arrives with her son David. She reveals to Robbie that she made herself sick because she wanted professional help for her son, who wrote a hit list of female classmates to be eliminated. Robbie consults with the hospital social worker, Chiara Alfaro, and they question David about his behavior. Realizing they know about the list, David flees the hospital, and Robbie fails to catch him. When Robbie returns to the hospital, he is overwhelmed by the amount of patients in the waiting room. This triggers a PTSD for Robbie to when he worked in the Pit during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah.
End of episode, which it's really interesting because this show came out in, 2020... It didn't premiere in 2026. I wrote that wrong. January 8th, 2024?
Yeah.
And, COVID feels... So much of COVID feels like such a long time ago, but there are so many people who really... I mean, I don't even want to imagine working in healthcare during COVID. I have coworkers who worked at, testing centers and stuff like that during COVID, and it just sounds... And other stories I've heard just from other people, it just sounds like a literal nightmare. I mean, like a literal worst case scenario.
Right.
And I think we kind of forget that like there are people out there who are still suffering from the events of COVID, and to a lot of us it has just kind of become a memory that we've kind of just swept under the rug or put into the back of our brains. But you know, there are people out there who are still suffering from PTSD, particularly people who worked in healthcare during COVID-19, because I mean, when they showed the flashback, you know, everyone was in like hazmat suits and people were just dying left and right. I mean, it was just, I can't imagine what that was like.
Well, I'm going to get a little emotional because my mom had her stroke during the pandemic in May of 2020. And it was hard because we couldn't go to be with her. Mm-hmm. They would let like one of us for like an hour a day go there. And she didn't understand why, because she was pretty much losing it by then. Plus she had just had a stroke. But going to the hospital, you know, seeing this show, I'm not going to say it was just like that, because she was in a bed by that point. You know, my sister was at the house when she had a stroke. EMTs came to get her. We went to the house and we didn't get to go and see her for like 2 days because they had to figure out what was wrong with her. But it was pretty crazy. I mean, they were all masked up. She was in a room by herself. They always had curtains around. And at that point in May, she had not left the house. Yeah. Like, we would go and see her, or I would go and see her from, you know, the pandemic started mid-March until her stroke in May on the 20th or so. She had not left the house for 2 months. Yeah. Because, you know, everything truly shut down. Bingo, the grocery stores, you know, everything. So she kind of was very, very confused as to like why we couldn't just go and be with her all day. Right. So that was a big struggle. I can't imagine being a healthcare worker. No. I mean, it was bad enough for the patients and their families, but for the doctors and stuff to go through that day in and day out. I mean, it just like the show is showing had to have been really hard emotionally on you, because again, you know, you're trying to help the patients deal with their families. Because I do remember getting upset with some of the medical people, but you know, they probably dealt with way worse than I was. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah.
We love you, Mercedes.
We love you, Mercedes.
My tootie.
It was, I will say, you know, there are a lot of things about the pandemic. That was a hard one. I mean, I just think about like the women who were giving birth, you know, they couldn't have their families even come to the hospital. You know, you have all these plans. So, yeah, it would have been hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't say we made it because, you know, we didn't. But, you know, it was just a moment in time that like no one's going to understand unless they live through it. I mean, people that are, you know, I think about Maddie and how she pretty much didn't have a middle school experience because of COVID. Like even like those little things that aren't as like dire as working in healthcare, but like, you know, there are kids now that like a big chunk of their social upbringing was through Zoom. And, you know, we kind of wonder
even
why
college,
we kind of wonder why this younger generation is so kind of, you know, hooked to their devices. And it's because, I mean, if you really want to sit down and think about it, it's
6 years.
That's all they know. I mean, like that was how they socialized. And I think there are so many people probably still now to this day who are, I mean, I think twice about, you know, the fact that I work in healthcare and people are still testing positive for COVID, and people are still, you know, maybe it's not as serious as it was 6 years ago, but I mean, it's still something that's still happening. And it may just be the same as the flu, you know, it may just be the same as having strep or whatever, but you know, it's still around. And I think people don't realize that. You know, some people don't, not everybody, but some people don't.
And kind of one of the things you said, so we had friends, you know, like Maddie's age, like Lisa and her 2 kids that were juniors in March of 2020. And I
Yeah.
remember she was like upset because like junior prom got canceled or junior ring dance. And she was like, oh, this, their junior year is ruined. And I just remember thinking like, no, I think their senior year is going to really be ruined. And they missed out on like all the things. Like Anne Marie was homecoming queen and like barely got.
Yeah.
Not that should be just this big thing, but it is. It's if you're homecoming queen, it's like a big thing when you're in high school, and she barely got like any of the experience.
I think
so, like a lot of things were messed up.
I even think Maddie's freshman year was on Zoom as well, like her first year of high school. And I mean, that's, I feel really bad because I'm going to I'm going to be talk about Smosh for a second, but Arasha, who's the youngest cast member on Smosh, she talked about how her college years was COVID, and it's just kind of crazy that we went through this really insane thing, kind of not just as a country, but just as a whole planet, as the whole world. We kind of all went through this, and we kind of forget that, like this episode kind of showed that people are still suffering from it, and people are still having their PTSD, and it may not be in the forefront, but it's still happening. You know? Okay, we got serious unexpectedly,
all right,
but
let's be fun.
That's how we do. I think that wraps up this episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can also follow us on Instagram at WeJudgePilotPod. We're also on Facebook and Threads. You can leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch, or leave some emojis in the comments. What you got?
All right, I just started writing them because we've been talking.
Yeah, I realized you were writing them, and I was like, I should have talked slower.
No, it's all right. This is easy. Any of the docs, nurses, the blood, the shot, any of the emojis with like the mask or the thermometer, the head bandage, the x-rays, any of those fun medical emojis will do. All right. Well, we are going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.